Hey, what's going on, fam? It's day 6 of what men need to know are okay. And today, men need to know it's okay to talk about how you feel. Look, how many of you guys out there, I mean, seriously, how many of you guys out there feel like you got this one on lockdown? And if you have it on lockdown, then I want to hear about it because I sure as heck don't. Look, as men, we're pre-programmed to share one type of emotion. It's anger, right? Like that's the one, that's what's in our holster. We can pull it out quick. It can come out at any time, and we're trying to hurt somebody with it. You know, I talked just about understanding the emotion that fuels those outbursts that happen, right? And really, and when you understand them, then you got to start talking about those feelings that are resonating with you in anger, you know, the shame, the imposter syndrome, the disgust with yourself sometimes, the insecurities that you have about how you look or how you act or where you came from. Man, I remember for myself, I struggled so much with being ashamed of where I came from in my late teens and early 20s. It was embarrassing, frankly, that I was locked in closets and I was locked in basements and I was beat until I was just a heap of humanity on the floor. Who wants to talk about that with anybody? But these feelings that I had inside, like I needed to find a way to get them out. So man, I lifted weights, like I fought, I played shot hoop, like that was my thing, playing basketball. I did all those things, right? And it helped. It helped alleviate some of those demons that I struggled with inside. But the reality was, until I got real serious about dealing with those emotions, nothing really changed. I still held all that shit right here and right here. And I learned over time, it's okay and it's healthy to talk about how you feel about things. I'll give you an example. So my wife and I, probably 14 years ago now, in our marriage, we had young kids. You guys know kids are just amazing, phenomenal humans. Like they literally, my children, I feel like, completed my humanity as a man and completed the circle of life I wanted for my family that I envisioned. But kids are tough, man. Like you're not holding hands with your spouse. You're not doing those things that that keep you connected, right? And so our marriage struggled, you know, and we weren't really talking. I wasn't talking about how I felt. You know, I would try to tell my wife, like, listen to this song over here. Like, this is kind of how I'm feeling. But I couldn't articulate, mostly because I felt like it made me look weak. I never was willing to articulate fully how I felt. And, you know, there's some little cracks that happen in a relationship, and that little crack got bigger and bigger and bigger until it looked like a damn earthquake went through it. And our relationship was at a breaking point. And we had to really sit and talk. We had to come to Jesus moment in our relationship. Those of you guys who've been together long enough know you're going to have one. And that was probably the first time I talked to her about how I felt, how I really felt about where our relationship was at. And I was still in love with her and I loved her, but both of us had built up so much resentment because we never communicated. We didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't yell at each other. We didn't cuss at each other. We were just basically being roommates. You know, and I'm blessed that we're at the point that we're at now because we had this moment where there was nothing to do but talk about it or decide that it wasn't going to work. But part of this legacy that I want to leave, part of me being this legacy warrior that I know you men out there are and want to be, is fighting for the things that I believe in. Fighting for myself and my wife and my family and the people I love around me to be the best version I can be. So I realized, like, man, I need to start talking about some of this shit that I'm hanging on to that's manifesting itself, my childhood stuff that's manifesting itself in my adulthood. And those moments, and I told her, I said, man, like, I feel like you've kind of disconnected and I feel abandoned. And that's how I felt in that moment. And I finally said it. And then we had a conversation and she told me how she felt. I was being an asshole all the time. Like I was doing what I wanted. I had disconnected too. And I had to take ownership of what I was doing and what I wasn't doing. And we made a commitment to each other to fight that day together and work our butts off, man, to have this healthy relationship that we have today. And it's not perfect. Like you still take each other for granted when you live with each other. It's going to happen. We just recognize getting in this crazy cycle sooner so that we can get right back to the rest of it. You know what we do? We talk about how we feel, fellas, how we feel in those moments. We take ownership of our responsibility and how our significant other's feeling, and then move forward. And doing that opened my mind up. Like the biggest lesson I learned was I opened my mind up to saying, like, I need to realize that shame and despair and that feeling of insignificance sometimes and that need that I have to want to be the center of attention and be this big personality so people like me all stems from childhood, all of it. So I started talking about it. That's why I'm talking to you guys about how I feel about those things. I know that's me. And I work on being a better version of myself, but I can't if I'm not even honest with me. So if you guys want this up here, if you guys want this up here, if you want your spirit aligned, it's time to start fighting. Be that legacy warrior. Be that man that you need for yourself, and be that man that everybody needs around you. Work hard and fight your ass off and be vulnerable and do things different than what you've always done. Because what we've always done, that's got us the results that we've always gotten. So if you want different results, you got to do something different. You see, I wanted different results, so I started doing something different. It don't mean I'm perfect. I still fall on my face. It just means I'm willing to admit it now. It means I'm trying to perpetually gain traction in this thing that we call life to be a better human. Because ultimately, that's what matters. Who gives a shit how much money you make? Who cares what you have? Who cares about the things that us as men compare each other to all the time? Start asking your friends, hey, bro, how do you feel? How you doing? Are you happy? Who gives a crap that, you bought a nicer car than that person? Why are we comparing ourselves to each other anyway? What a terrible way to live. We've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. No doubt. So look, keep grinding, man. Keep doing something different. This is day 6. We got 3 more days after this to unlock the full potential of what we can do. I love y'all. Keep working on you. Again, don't be me. Be the best version of you. And if you need someone to talk to, I am me. DM me. Some of you guys have done that, and I'm real proud of you. And if you've got a story to share it in your comments. I'd love to do a live with you. If you want to share some things that you've learned, let's do a live and we'll collaborate. We'll jump on here together. But I love y'all. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you tomorrow for part 7.